I think I was like fully in the deep end when this happened. I was texting my production manager while I was putting both my kids to bed that night. And I was like, can we put 50 up? 50 was a joke. We could have sold like 1,000 of this dress that night. And so as 50 would sell, I would text her again being like, let's do another 50. Those would sell. And I'd text her again, put up 100. This is crazy.
Welcome to the Fashionista Network. Welcome to the Fashionista Network. Hi everyone, I'm Steph Saltzman, Fashionista's Style and Beauty Director. Super excited to be chatting with the founder and CEO of Ciao Lucia, a brand I absolutely love, Lucy Akin, and she is joining us here from LA to tell us all about her brand and the exciting moments she's had growing the brand so far. So welcome to the Fashionista Network.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
So glad to have you here. I mean, I've been such a fan of the brand. I know you're known for vacation ready, kind of vacation vibes especially, but anytime you want to be on vacation really is the time to be wearing Ciao Lucia. So if we could get background on your career, how did you first get into fashion? You've worked in different parts of the industry. So tell me a little about that.
Yeah, so it was very inevitable and not by chance that I chose fashion. Starting in college, I think I would interned at 6 different places, and I really got a version of each facet of what jobs looked like. I interned at a magazine, I interned for a stylist, I interned for a store, and I really figured out that I liked either working for a designer or a store. When I graduated, I actually started working for Jenni Kayne, and that's when Jenni Kayne was like 6 people big. And so it was really fun. I assisted the designer running patterns and samples downtown when everything was being made in LA, and I got to know everyone there. And after that, I got an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. I started working for a really nice store in LA that sadly is no longer around, but it was called Akin. They bought designers like Balenciaga, Chloe, Valentino. And so at 21, I became the buyer of this store and I got to travel the world, seeing shows, buying clothes. It was like the best moment in time for me. From there, I was very confident as a millennial and I started my own store. And it started online and I opened a brick and mortar and it was in LA. It was called Shop Super Street. And we quickly got a lot of attention. It was a really successful store, but at the same time, the internet was becoming a place to shop. And I started noticing that the consumer really preferred buying directly from brands. Customers would come to my store just to try on a brand to see what sizing they were. And then they'd go home and buy it from the brand. And so I was losing my mind owning a store, and I went and saw a psychic. And the psychic, the minute I sat down, was like, why aren't you designing your own clothes? I didn't think I had that talent in me. And he was like, no, you're doing it all wrong. And so I started my brand. One weekend, I was sick in bed watching Great Expectations. Film is my biggest inspiration above everything else, even travel. And I just was so obsessed with the Donna Karan costumes in that movie that Gwyneth Paltrow wears. And so I immediately just started sketching what I wanted to make. I hit up my friend who was the old designer of Jenni Kayne and I asked, can you help me make this? And so we went and made everything downtown and I put it in my store on La Brea. It sold out and everyone wanted to know what it was. And so then I knew I was onto something. Thankfully, I honestly learned everything while I was at Jenni Kayne working for the designer. But yeah, I figured out, this is where I'm going to go buy fabrics. These are my pattern makers that I trust. I still know the production people from when I worked there. It was pretty simple. Just little questions like, where do you make a hang tag?
So many different elements. So I guess from the big picture side of things, when you were first starting out, what was your vision for the brand and how did Ciao Lucia specifically come to be and when?
So I started it in 2017. And at that time, fashion was very into streetwear. Everyone was wearing a hoodie, a dad hat with a logo on it. It was very masculine. I felt what was missing was just something that was a little more simple, a little more feminine, very effortless. You don't have to be a so-called fashionista in order to wear this. That's what I was craving and that's what I wanted to wear. And then, of course, I just am always thinking about how can I make this as voyeuristic as possible? Where do I want to be wearing these glamorous clothes?
Where did you first start deciding to get the brand off the ground? Obviously putting it in your own store, but like, so that, what was the next step?
A friend who worked at Vogue at the time saw it on our website, and she emailed me being like, what is this brand? And I was like, it's my brand. She was like, I want to write a story immediately. And I was like, okay, give me 6 months. Let me put together a real collection. Because at that point it was like 6 pieces, I think. So I hit up my friend Eliana, who modeled the first collection. I was like, let's go to Acapulco and shoot everything. I'll do it all on American Express points. We figured out a way to make it a full thing. I launched a website, did the logo, and it became a real brand. It became like a really big part of the store. Buyers from all over the world would come to the store just to like snap photos of it. I knew I was on to something quickly.
What do you think was missing in the market? The price level and kind of like the specific like genre of clothing didn't exist at that time. What else would you say kind of set Ciao Lucia apart from the market?
At the time, everything was very like fashion forward. It was very statementy and loud, and I didn't relate to it as a customer. There wasn't anyone who was focused on amazing travel stories and the storytelling. I just kind of wanted something more timeless and less trendy, and I couldn't find it.
You've had such amazing growth in kind of a short period of time with the brand and such great exposure too, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what were the snowballing moments to get the brand off the ground?
2019 is when I closed my store, and I was like, I'm going to take Ciao Lucia seriously. And then, of course, in hindsight, it was the best decision ever, but I was scared because COVID hit a month later. And I was like, oh my God, I closed this one thing. Now I'm going to have to close the other thing. This is crazy. But it ended up tripling our business because we were all stuck in our houses during COVID. And how nice was it to go on the Ciao Lucia site and have the version of shopping for that vacation you may go on, or you just might wear the dress and feel like you're on vacation. And so we did really well during COVID. And then also what kind of pushed the brand forward was we had really great celebrity placements. Some of it was organic, where a celebrity would buy it on the website under a pseudonym. Kendall Jenner was in Palm Springs during COVID wearing the brand, and then Hailey Bieber was wearing it, and Emirata was wearing it. We had really great celebrity placement. And then, of course, most recently, the White Lotus was the biggest marketing event I've experienced.
Not even just every fashion brand, but every brand's dream is to appear in the White Lotus. So for those who don't know, Ciao Lucia was worn on the White Lotus. Can you tell us about that? How it came about, and how did you feel seeing that?
It was amazing. It became like Piper's brand because she wore 3 dresses from the collection, and it spanned over the entire season. There was not an episode where she wasn't in Ciao Lucia. Alex, the stylist, reached out ahead of season 1 requesting clothing, and I didn't see that DM ever. So I was like, oh my God. And so season 2, she actually bought a Gabriella dress, and it was on the show for like half a second. Aubrey Plaza was sitting down, and then the scene is just over and you don't see the dress again. And then, so I saw that and I was excited. Ahead of season 3, the media was talking about how it was in Thailand, and Alex had emailed me being like, hey, we're starting to style for season 3. Do you want to send anything? And I was like, whatever you want, it's yours. And so we sent 20 to 25 styles, and she couldn't tell me, obviously for privacy reasons, what landed on the show, but she responded at the end of the season being like, we used some pieces. So I got to see it at the same time as the customer as to what ended up being on the show. And it was really fun. And our website just like, it could have crashed that night. It was so insane.
I know you have some of these pieces behind you, which like exactly what you're describing, so timeless, so classic, so vacation vibes. Tell us about that piece. And honestly, like what doesn't recognize it from the White Lotus? Like it's,
I know. Piper wore this on a boat. The best thing you could ask for. Usually when you get a placement, it's always, sometimes they're not in the best location or the dress isn't fitting well. In this situation, everything came together. Piper was on a boat wearing a sailor-esque dress. The dress looked incredible on her. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then especially while she was going through her existential crisis at the Buddhist temple was this one.
I love that.
And then the third one I don't have, but it was a very cute mini that she showed up at the White Lotus in. I've never experienced that type of press, and I don't think it could be replicated or paid for.
That's what's striking me from your organic celeb placements, especially with those names you rattled off. Like those are the most sought after influential celebs. And then to have a show like White Lotus where everyone is talking about it, every brand wants in, I think it's an amazing achievement. Sometimes a placement might not be in the best context. Obviously, White Lotus, there's a lot of deaths, there's a lot of controversy. There were moments where it maybe would have been harder to be like, look at this fun thing. So it's an aspirational vibe of White Lotus. Does that re-inspire you in how you're designing? Like, is it kind of a feedback loop, or is it just you continue with your vision and hope it resonates?
I think it's we continue with our vision and hope it resonates. I'm such a film person, so I love that it was on White Lotus and sent Alex the biggest thank you possible. But I think just moving forward, it's more just expanding on who we are. I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing who you are and just continuing to deliver on it.
Yeah, especially with such a strong DNA and point of view, you kind of can continue to lean into that. So beyond these amazing placements, you've partnered with some other brands for great collaborations. Can you tell me about that, how you've chosen the brands and what that does for the business?
Yeah, we've always looked at collaborations as either can we reach a greater audience or can we deliver a category we don't necessarily make? So, for example, we did one with Kajak, the Saint-Tropezien sandal brand, and we do that every year now because it's been doing really well. We had feedback from our customers over the years of being like, where can I buy the shoes that are styled with everything on the site? So that's where we kind of got that idea to maybe offer her something that we can't make ourselves. So the Kajak collaboration's been really successful. We're going to do it next year. Last year, we had a collaboration with Rixo, and that was really fun because they're kind of like the UK Ciao Lucia. They're much bigger than us, but it was fun to mash up the two brands because we're very similar, but we're different. And so we kind of made like this fun little baby together who embodied both brands. This summer, we did the jewelry collaboration with LU. I don't make jewelry, and so it was a fun category to offer to our customers.
Yeah, and what has the response from your customers been like to these collabs?
They're really into it. They usually sell out. We keep it pretty limited, and I think our customers really enjoy seeing like what the two brands ideate together.
How has the business grown, especially with these celeb placements and the White Lotus? You've had some major sales. How has that impacted the business? Has it been a challenge maybe?
Yeah, I think the challenge is always inventory. We don't have investors. I try to run things as profitably as possible. And so what's hard is, you're only going to sell as much inventory as you have. If you have a moment like the White Lotus and you're not expecting it, you're not going to have this dress in stock. And so one of the greatest challenges that we run into is we're always running out of inventory and having to restock it for future. So that's something that we've been dealing with, but thankfully we've really been growing year over year, experiencing increased growth. And yeah, we're just kind of like understanding how much we're able to sell.
How did you handle that? Once you saw which pieces were featured, did you quickly decide to put out another order, or how did that work for you?
I think I was like fully in the deep end when this happened. I was texting my production manager while I was putting both my kids to bed that night. And I was like, can we put 50 up? 50 was a joke. We could have sold like 1,000 of this dress that night. And so as 50 would sell, I would text her again being like, let's do another 50. Those would sell. And I'd text her again, put up 100. This is crazy. And we were just constantly being like, is this enough? We didn't want to sell too much so that, let's say, by the time people get it, because this was on pre-order, because we needed to make the clothes still, we didn't want it to happen where, like, let's say 50% of everyone got their dress and was like, we're going to return it. I don't want it. I'm good. It's been 6 weeks. I'm over it. We didn't want to be stuck with that inventory. So again, it's a balance on inventory of what can you keep in stock, what can you sell, and how can you meet this demand?
Are there any other things that maybe you can talk about that are in the works? Are you looking to kind of place Ciao Lucia in any other shows? I know you keep mentioning you're a very big film fan, so is that on the horizon for you?
It's really hard. The toughest part with any type of media placement like that is the lag time between when you made the dress and when it actually airs. It's about 2 years. And so you're really chasing old styles. And that's tough. I wouldn't say I don't think the White Lotus moment is going to happen for us again. And so I personally will probably still be going after celebrities. And if a White Lotus thing happens again, it'll be by happenstance, just like it was this time. And we're like so grateful and lucky it happened.
Do you have a dream celebrity that you would love to see in Ciao Lucia that you haven't yet?
I've always said Gwyneth Paltrow because she started it all with Great Expectations. But I am a Bravo lover. And if a housewife wore Ciao Lucia during an interview, I think I would lose my mind. Actually, Kendall Jenner wore the Gabriella dress during the Kardashians interview a few seasons ago.
Okay. I mean, Summer House seems like such a good fit. Like whoever's out there listening, let's get on that. You have these years under your belt. How has it maybe evolved and how do you see it continuing to evolve in the future?
Yeah, I think our customer is very much so myself. We're in our 30s at this point. Maybe we've had some children. We're really growing up now. We're not in our 20s. My approach to the design these days has been a little more demure. Maybe I'm not wearing a mini because I'm worried about preschool drop off and flashing the community. We've really tried to kind of grow the brand in that way. We're offering more things you can layer, like a little cardigan to wear with the sleeveless dress and things like that. I think that's where I'd like to see the brand grow.
I love that. Fellow millennial, mid-30s over here. So obviously the brand speaks to me, as I've said. So I think that's something, it's kind of this in between, especially once it gets warm out, I suddenly don't know what to wear. So I do think this is such an answer to that question.
Yeah. And I think, for so many years we were seen as a travel brand, but I do think there is a year-round element to it. In the fall, we sell more of our evening slip dresses. That's kind of what you're wearing in the fall to go out to dinner with a really nice boot, or for the holidays, things like that. And so we're just kind of wanting to deliver on who myself wants to wear year round.
And do you have any plans for any sort of a retail footprint expansion?
Nothing confirmed. It's definitely a goal and a dream. If we do it, it would be New York City all the way. New Yorkers are fashionable girls who love to shop and they love Ciao Lucia. So that's where I would do it.
Love that. I feel like I can scout a spot for you on Madison Avenue. If
you Oh my God.
I'll advocate for the Upper East Side. I know everyone wants to be in Soho, but Upper East Side shopping is good as well.
No, it seems like Upper East Side's getting a lot of stores. So I wouldn't say no.
I love that.
I think it's a goal. Probably a pop-up first. We did do a pop-up there in 2021 and there was lines down the street. So again, I love the New York customer.
Whether it's specific pieces or anything else, what are you most excited about right now?
I think I'm very, very excited about this fall and holiday. We're really transitioning the brand into a more mature place. And so our holiday is just a ton of really good prints and slip dresses and evening jackets. It's all Deanna Vreeland inspired. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Our fall is kind of the prequel to that. So again, we're making really cool jade embroidered slip dresses. I can't wait for the next 2 seasons. The goal would be a retail store one day, maybe retail stores, plural. And then getting into more categories just ourselves. I think there's a place for Ciao Lucia bags and footwear, swimwear even, more collaborations. But I really am a firm believer in do what you do and do it well. And so for me, it's just kind of growing the brand while keeping it focused.
Any other updates with the psychic?
Yes, he still yells at me all the time. I haven't seen him in, I think, 2 years. But every time I see him, he's like, you need to work less and travel more. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And he's like, no, you need to get inspired. You need to be creative every day. I'm like, okay.
He's had good advice in the past.
He's great. He's a 75-year-old British man. I love him.
She altered the course of your career for sure, which is amazing.
Yeah. And he doesn't let me forget that.
Do you have any advice for someone considering starting their own brand and like maybe a little nervous about it?
My biggest advice is just do it. You don't need a whole lot of money. Keep doing what you're doing to make money, but it can be a hobby. And if your hobby takes off, then that's great. And again, like there's so much you can do for yourself. I have friends all the time who want to start brands and they pay some branding person $20K to make like a full deck and things like that. And I'm like, no, you don't need that. Just get started, make the clothes, see if people like it, get your feet wet, and then you'll know if you're on the right track. I don't think anything caught me so by surprise.
I think that speaks to a lot of why you could find your success. Honestly, those are really all of my questions. This has been such a great insight into how you brought this business to market and how you've grown it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lucy. This was such a fun chat. And like I said, just a fan of yours, fan of the brand. So excited to see definitely that fall collection and everything you have coming up. Thanks for being on the Fashionista Network.
Thank you so much. Nice to speak with you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.